Okay, so we're just putting the final touches on this machine. The airbox has to go back in, and I just have to finish off my fuel line routing and get that fuel pump put way back down there. As you can see, that line's a little bit kinked, so we're going to work on that. That there is the new filter, and it's one of these. And these are garbage. That one there immediately started leaking at this little plastic connection. So they were really cheap, but I bought some more expensive ones here. This style here is what I had on there, and what actually happened is I was out riding around with Sam and Rose in the trailer because I want to run some fuel through it to make sure it's good. And this was a couple weeks ago, and it ended up dying on me, and it was just that the filter was clogged. So I figured that would happen. There's some, or there was some residual in that tank of just like some gunky stuff. And it's not really easy to clean these tanks out in the wintertime. I don't have a hose that I can really wash them out with, and I certainly can't, do it in the tub or something of that nature. So, I did clean it out the best I could, but ultimately running it's probably the best bet. So it's kind of too bad that this thing started running rough again, because it was running flawlessly. But that is the exact reason why I've been running it around the yard and up and down the ditch here, is because stuff like this, we need to work these bugs out before it becomes an issue in the middle of nowhere. And that's why it's important to do this. Now I do want to get new spark plugs for this, but this is a easy way. This thing is very cold. Hang on. They get hot pretty quick, so all you gotta do is turn them off a little bit. With the little torch, a person can get these red hot. That's more what you want, but my wife came out and yelled at me. She's like, "You're making too much noise." Alright, so that's idling just like it was before. I'm gonna say that fuel filter was a little clogged, or else it was kind of the extreme bend at the very end that was messing with this thing. Okay, I got the hood wire all cleaned up, and now I'm just going to take the palm sander and I'm going to sand around this crack and around this crack up here, and then tomorrow I'm going to fiberglass that, fiberglass this, and then throw like a piece of fiberglass in here the best I can, maybe even something in here, maybe with a piece of metal or something, and that way that kind of works well for that. But my camera's about dead, so this will be the last update for tonight. You got about 8 minutes, so. Okay, we got a piece going on the top, down the side. Remember we had that big hole there. We got this piece all down below. And we got some drips all the way, but that's only gonna harden and make that plastic stronger. I will wipe down these drips real quick, but it's not bad. Okay, so this is the wood from underneath the seat, and I think it's untreated, and it was only like a 1/4 inch thick. I didn't realize it was so thin. So what I got was 3/4, and I don't know how well that seat cover is gonna go over it all, but we're gonna find out, because I'm gonna just trace this out. You can tell that this is just completely rotten, probably because, you know, all this moisture in it, and it probably wasn't pressure treated. And then I gotta re-measure that side to match this side. It goes around that gas tank. So, and then we'll get this. I'm just gonna bolt it rather than rivet. They had this kind of weird, all these rivets, and then they actually stapled the seat cover to the this like steel rim. I don't even think it's aluminum. I think it's just kind of chrome painted. So that's interesting as well, but we'll get it all taken care of and rebuilt. Hopefully better than the original. Yeah, okay. Okay, we have the hood down, and we are now going to be working on the windshield. A few cracks here, a couple down lower, and this one, which is the biggest culprit. So what I've done on that one is I put some tape on the backside, probably add one more piece. And then I got that 2-part epoxy, which dries clear, and I'm just gonna lay a nice bead of it in here, and hopefully, you know, it's not going to look 100% amazing, but it's hopefully going to work. So alright, we have received the new seat cover. It's even better quality than I could have imagined, and it's exactly what I thought. It's the whole entire outer part, Velcro hole in the back, everything. So what we're gonna do is get that little piece of wood pulled off of there, and then set the foam on top and wrap this around, and we'll see if it has enough fabric on it to wrap around the bottom of that 3/4 inch piece of plywood. Okay, so here is the old one. As you can see, it's completely just dry rotted. You know, this is just all pretty cracked. I'm just gonna peel this off and essentially put the new one over it. If you guys are wondering, I got this off of eBay. eBay is good for private sellers, and it was well, it was $130, but it's very, very nice. I like the black better than the original color. Here's just a comparison between the two. So you kind of see here. Now this was the original had a fabric here. This one's vinyl still, which is I think a better quality. And the back is good. And then this is what I'm talking about with the very back and the light. I'm gonna have to cut it somehow. I didn't like how they had it stapled. They had stapled it right to the bezel around the light. I didn't like that, so we're gonna see what we can do. Okay, so these plastic pieces were on here, and what they do is they just sit on the edge here. Probably just protects the edge from wearing out as you ride. Okay, so this here is actually the first toolbox I ever got. I got it from my dad for my birthday, I believe, really long time ago, and I've had it forever. And the lid is gone now, but the lid on it was all busted up. I'd used it as a jack stand a couple times, and after a while I couldn't put tools in here anymore. I put ratchet straps. And then Sam and I were at the thrift shop, and I found the same exact one in just a gray color. And so, to keep that nostalgia alive, I bought this one here, and put all my ratchet straps in it. So now this one was on the pile to get trashed, but I'm thinking I can cut a couple of those plastic strips out, and it's kind of a round circle. So I poked a hole in it here with a knife because I was going to try to cut it that way, but it's a little too thick. So we're going to use this and see if I can get something out of it. Got a piece of plastic, and it fits perfect. Good reuse. A little bit of it is pretty, so it was nice. Yellow to yellow. Okay everyone, so today I took it out and about, and the same thing happens every single time. Runs good, I rip around on it, it's great. As soon as I go to take Sam and Rose in the sled, it goes great. I hit the trail, I go like a half mile down, it goes amazing, and then when I spin around and come back, it dies. Bogs out and dies. So as I'm taking this apart, I decided to put this paper towel underneath. Look at all this. Look at all that stuff that's coming out. I think this is our culprit. So what happened here is the first time I had this snowmobile out and I was having fun with it, like I said, it died. And there's a bunch of stuff in the fuel filter, and I had to bypass the fuel filter and run it to get home. And by doing that, it sucked up all this stuff, which means I'm going to have to go through this and both those carbs again. Because, I mean, look, as I'm going here, look at all that. I think I have a rebuild kit right here. This is actually for the other sled, but these are pretty generic, so a little bit, like a tiny bit of gunk, but really no big chunks. So let's dump this out. Right there, that little bit of slime. And our fuel lines here, I got it off. Let's just see. It's gonna take a second because some of it dumped out. That one has a lot. Alright everyone, so I took this thing out and I ran it around today and it worked really, really good. So tomorrow we're gonna take it to the lake and run it around a little bit more just to make sure it's all good. But I did run and get some new spark plugs for it, so I'm going to swap those out tonight. And yeah, and then tomorrow I'll bring you along and we'll go and give her a true test. So this is how it fits on the trailer. But it's cold out here, so I'm going to try to hurry up with these spark plugs and get this done. Okay everyone, so today we went out on the lake, and as you've seen, this thing died on us. It ran a lot better than it was running though, so that's a good sign. I called up the local power sports place, which is, it was actually only about 15 minutes further away from the lake, and they were able to get me a new pump, because when we broke down, I pulled the fuel lines and I pulled it, and there was no fuel getting through those lines. So I have installed the new pump, and now I'm going to pull it over and see if it pushes out more pressure. I thought before it seemed like it wasn't pushing out very much pressure, so this pump just might have been bad from the beginning. The new one here is a Mikuni brand, and believe me, I paid dearly for this, but I'm hoping that this is the difference. So we're gonna find out. One other thing I did is when I was out there, we had to walk back to get the vehicle, and I needed to start this thing to get on the trailer because it was just gonna be a huge pain otherwise. And I popped off the fuel line on the carb, and I blew back pressure into this fuel pump because I thought if something's lodged in there and I blow back, it might dislodge it. And then the thing popped off no problem and it ran good. So that's why I'm thinking it's either in the fuel pump, the filter's looking good, it could maybe be in the pickup tube in the tank, but if you remember, we put a new pickup tube on there, so I did eyeball in there. The tube is still going down into the gasoline and stuff, so this is my best bet. So let's pull this thing over and see if it sprays out fuel any faster than it did before. I don't know. We will see. Coming out of that one. Okay, we are back, and it died on us again, as you know. I ended up kind of working on it again, figuring out what's going on. I know it's something to do with the fuel, because every time I mess with the fuel, it comes back. And this time what I did is I noticed that the fuel wasn't in the filter, so I took off this side, and I blew through the line, and it was really hard, and then all of a sudden it went and the pressure released, and I could blow through, and it was coming out the vent line that my air was. So the vent line is good, but when I ran this through, I didn't have the little filter on the end, and I think that there's just a little chunk of crud that is plaguing us. So what I'm going to do is take off this fuel line and unscrew it, and there's supposed to be a filter at the end, and I went to the auto parts store, and luckily they hooked me up with one of these, which is the filter for in the tank. So kind of a fun story is all the parts on this thing, I've tried to go through, you know, Menards and Home Depot and Walmart and stuff. I've had like zero luck. Every time I can't find a part, I just go to my local hardware store and they have it for me every time. What a perfect time for Rose to be taking a nap. I suppose if you're not in like the Tornado Alley, they don't do this. Okay everyone, so I think today is Wednesday. Kind of losing track of time here, but let's just talk about this. Monday we replaced a fuel pump. Tuesday we did the inline filter. I took it out today. It died on me again. So the fuel though, the fuel filter is completely full, which is awesome. So what I'm going to do tonight though is the little needle that adjusts for the gas. Someone said, a forum said you should clean that out, and I didn't know that. So I'm going to get into it. I'm going to check that out. If it is dirty and I clean it, that's a good sign. If it looks really good, tomorrow when I'm in town, because I got to roll it to the bank, I'm going to stop off and get a compression tester. Then we're going to test the compression on here. When it died on me today, I pulled the spark plugs and it has spark, but it seemed like it was like really flooded out. So I'm hoping that that is a sign. I did call my dad and let him know what's going on. This thing is giving me a huge headache, but I'm really happy we took it out and drove it for a long distance and had this happen, because when I was taking it around here it didn't. So then, you know, that could have been a big issue for him. So I'm really happy that this is happening. Let's tear into it and take care of it. It actually died so bad I had to yank it in with a strap. It died in the middle of the backyard and it would not start. I even went out a couple hours later, it would not start. So, alright, let's take care of this. So I just opened this up and this back carb is actually dripping. You just seen it, it's dripping fuel. So that is a really good sign, because remember on this front one, I replaced the line because I thought the line was leaking. That's a good sign that that needle is stuck. Well, you guys, I know it's got fuel because this is dry. I blew it out. We got fuel up in there. I know we got spark. I had the spark plugs pulled out. I've put them back in. They're wet. And when I pulled off those fuel lines, it was squirting fuel out because I pulled it over a couple times to make sure for spark. So it's getting spark, it's getting fuel, and it's obviously getting air. I'm half thinking this engine's blown. We won't know until tomorrow though, because we have to go to town and go to the bank, and I'm going to get a compression tester, and then I'll screw it in here and we'll see. But I think that this engine might be a low compression problem, because it should at least fire over right now. I'm like going through all the steps in my head, and I think everything is back where it needs to be. The fuel's on. We got a bunch of fuel. I even sprayed some of that mass airflow stuff in there. It says extremely flammable. I used that stuff to start this engine once before, and it worked well. So, what the heck could be going on with this thing? I'm gonna have to check the compression on it tomorrow. That's the only thing I can think of now. Okay, well, I'll check back in with you guys tomorrow when I figure this thing out. So, stay tuned. Okay, we have the best that Harbor Freight has to offer. So let's get this started. trying to figure out a way where you guys can see this as I do it. Okay, alright, let's give her a pull here. Oh god, it's low. That's only at, wow. That's, oh wow, that's, what is that? 60, 70, 75 maybe? That cylinder's at 75. Okay. Let's try the other one. Okay, cylinder number 2 here. About the same, but right over 70. And I don't think by pulling this thing over, 50 times, is it going to build enough pressure to be within even a running range. I would consider probably 90 about as low as I'd like to see on there, and we're well beyond that, so I think we found our problem. I want to just do one final test, and that is with the throttle open, so that we can see how much pressure we have, because I guess you get a little more out of it with the throttle open, but there's really no way, in my opinion, that this will somehow go up by almost 50 psi. But let's try it. We'll try her and see here. We're not getting any more out of it. Let me show you guys that. It's the same as it ever was, 72. It's actually closer to 70 now, but it's really cold out. Okay, so I talked with my dad today. I sent him the pictures and messaged him or whatever. And essentially, 120 psi would be like a good number for compression. 110 and below can be a cause for many problems, maybe weird idles or whatever. Unfortunately, as you guys seen, we're hitting 72 consistently on both cylinders, which is surprising to me. You'd think they'd be a little bit different, but we've been through the system. I know it's getting plenty of air and everything like that, so that's unfortunate. But what my dad and I have agreed on is I'm still going to bring it up there on Sunday. And I will be bringing back my grandpa's four-wheeler, and we put so much time and money into this machine at this point. What we're going to be doing is either trying to find another 488 fan-cooled motor for it, or considering a rebuild kit. Now, eBay cheap Chinese rebuild kit, I seen one on there for $112. If you want to go with like Dennis Kirk, I think that's the website, their kit is over $200. As it stands right now, we're really not sure. More so, my dad's really not sure what he would like to do with this machine. So when I loaded it onto the trailer, I gave it one last pull, and it started, and when it started, it pushed out all this extra fuel, which makes sense because the float or the needle was sticking. But I let it idle, and it idled its way up a little bit. It still was idling kind of goofy, but I let it run for a little bit, warm up, and then when I checked the PSI again on those cylinders, and it came out to 70, which makes sense because as it was warming up, those cylinders expand and it loses out on the expansion. It makes the cylinders not as tight. So at least it's running again, but it definitely didn't fix our problem. So I turned the fuel off so it can't flood out again like that, and that's where we're at. So yeah, it's too bad. Anyways, see you guys on Sunday. Okay everyone, we got the van in the garage here hooked up to the trailer. This is one of the reasons why I love this garage is you can put a van hooked up to a trailer in here, door to door, still walk around them, and there's enough room. I love that. It makes it easy in the morning just to get ready and go. But I have it in here because outside, try to cover up obviously my location here. Outside, it is -15. Let me get this to focus. With a real feel of -27. That is cold. And tomorrow morning when we're leaving, it's going to be about -20 before the real feel. So it'll probably be, it'll feel to a human being around like -30. That's cold. So I have a whole bunch of blankets in the back of the van here and just some emergency type stuff. This van is pretty much brand new, but I learned a lot that one deer hunting year. What was that, 2 years ago when I broke down in the red car? It took my dad maybe an hour to get to me, and a few things I did, I just had like my tennis shoes on because that car was a manual. It was hard to drive with boots on. And I was out walking around and my feet got wet and I got cold. It was crazy how fast that was, and it wasn't nearly as cold as it is right now. So I like to plan ahead now, and you know, even if it takes 45 minutes for the tow truck to get to us if we broke down for some reason, it's really, really nice to have extra blankets because I would literally bundle us up right away. And rather be safe than sorry. In fact, I'm kind of debating grabbing the buddy heater just in case. But, you know, my dad will be expecting us, so, you know, it's only 2 hours from here, 2.5 hours from here. And so, if anything happens, I should be within calling distance of somebody to come help us. So, anyways, yeah, we're loaded up. Tomorrow morning we're leaving early, and I'll catch back with you guys tomorrow. Alright, we're here at the farmhouse. Had a nice lunch, and now my dad and I are just looking over the four-wheeler. Now we're going to get the snowmobile unloaded and get the four-wheeler loaded up. And we'll be on our way home. For one person, it's really a lot to... Right. You can already tell reverse is the way to do it. A tilt trailer helps, but you gotta get it to tilt first. That's definitely the direction you're going. So. I can give it a pull too if you want.
Yeah. Cool. That runs nice. Yeah, it's too bad that it bogs down after a while, you know what?
Yeah.
It even steered easier after that a little bit, just moving it a little more.
Yeah.
So it's weird to go into the snow and actually drive it because I'm used to the four-wheeler getting stuck. I'm not used to something that will go in the snow and drive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you gave it a little more there. It's fast,
yeah.
You know?
Yep.
You
had it up to 70 or something, you said?
No, I drove here and it was 70, you know, on the highway, and this didn't bend down.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because when I first picked it up with the crack, this was pushing down, but now it doesn't, so.
Pretty cool. Yeah, I'm excited to have a couple of these little, you know.
Yeah. It'd make it a lot easier to get to the tent. You can do that in like 3-4 minutes, I suppose.
Tops, yeah, just get across there. Like everybody said, the slushy just go, they said.
Yeah. They're fun.
Very cool. Thank you for getting it fixed up this far, and we'll see what we can do for a motor thing. I'll still play with it around here and see what happens. I mean, if it dies out there, eventually it'll start again.
Yeah.
Once it cools down, so. This thing just runs. You know, but I had to put the battery. Now it runs really nice. Direction. Like I said, that shifter's off a little bit.
Okay.
So
I'll have to look at that too.
I guess we can winch it right down there.
Yeah. Oh,